Okay, so first we're going to talk about linear equations and functions. If a point is on the graph, then it is a solution. Okay, so you just plug it in to find out whether or not it's a solution. If it comes out to a true statement, that means it is a solution, and then it means it's on the graph. If it comes out to a false statement, then it is not a solution, and it's not on the graph. Okay, so for example, are the following points on y equals negative 2x plus 4? So first we're going to look at the point 1, 2, and you want to remember that we write the points in alphabetical order. 1 is the x, 2 is the y. So I'm going to plug it into y equals negative 2x plus 4. So where the y is, I put a 2, and where the x is, I put a 1. And then I just simplify it and see whether I end up with a true statement. So negative 2 times 1 gives me negative 2. And negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. So I end up with 2 equal to 2. That's true. So yes, that point is on the line. Now I'm going to look at the point negative 4, 0. Again, negative 4 is my x, 0 is my y. So where the y is, I put a 0, equals negative 2. For x, I put in negative 4, so negative 2 times negative 4 plus 4. Negative 2 times negative 4 gives me a positive 8. And so when I add 8 and 4, I get 12. 0 does not equal 12, so that one is not on the line. So on your own, I'm going to have you try this on your whiteboards. Is the point 5, 1 on the graph of x minus 3y equals 12? Okay, the point 5, 1, is it on the graph of x minus 3y equals 12? Okay, so you should have ended up with 2 equal to 12, which isn't true. So no, this one is not on the line. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about are x and y intercepts. So x and y intercepts, we use those when we have the standard form of an equation of a line. And so standard form for an equation is ax plus by equals c. And a, b, and c are integers. Okay, a, b, and c are integers. So ax plus by equals c is a standard form. The x-intercept is where the graph intersects the x-axis. Just what it sounds like. It's intercepting or intersecting the x-axis. And when we're on the x-axis, the value of y is... Have we gone up or down? No, we haven't, so it's 0, right? The value of y on the x-axis is 0. Okay, and then when we have the y-intercept, that's where it intersects the y-axis. So what's the value of x there? When we're on the y-axis, x is the one that equals 0. Okay, so for some of your homework problems, you're just going to have to look at the graph and tell me what the x and y intercepts are. So if I look here at my x-axis, I look to see where the line crosses the x-axis. It's right here at -2, right? So what that point is, x is -2, y is 0. Okay, so it's a good habit to get into to write it as the ordered pair so you don't get mixed up about which is which. All right, and then for the y-intercept, I look at the y-axis to see where it crosses. It crosses at 1. So the y-intercept is 0, 1. Okay, are there any questions about this? Okay, so when you're done writing that one, you can get your whiteboards out, and I want to know the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and again, I want you guys to write it as an ordered pair. Okay, so where is it crossing the x-axis? Down here at -2. So my x-intercept is at -2, 0. Then I look on the y-axis, it's up here at 3. X is 0 and y is 3. All right, this is for your notes. We're going to find the x and y intercepts, and we have 5x minus 2y equals 10. Okay, so what you want to do on these is you want to make an xy table with a 0 for the y and a 0 for the x. So if I plug in 0 for y, I get 5x minus 2 times 0 equals 10. 2 times 0 is 0, that just goes away, and I'm left with 5x equals 10. Divide both sides by 5, and I get that x is equal to 2. So in the x column, I put a 2. And there's my x-intercept right there. Then I plug in a 0 for x. So 5 times 0 minus 2y equals 10. 5 times 0 is 0. It just goes away. So I have minus 2y is equal to 10. We divide by -2. And so I get y is equal to -5. So 0, -5 is my y-intercept. So where the number is, that's the one it is, whether it's the x or the y-intercept. So on that first line, I've got 2, 0. The number is under x. That's your x-intercept. On the second line, I've got the number -5 under the y. That's your y-intercept. Okay? Okay, so on your whiteboards, I'm going to give you guys one to do. I want you to find the x and y intercepts. For 7x minus 5y equals 35. And so again, remember to start with your table, plugging in the zeros. Okay, so when we put in 0 for y, we get 7x is equal to 35. You divide by 7, you get x is equal to 5, a positive 5. But then when x is 0, it's -5y equals 35. Some of you are dropping the negative sign. Make sure you don't do that. So y is -7. So 0, -7 would be your y-intercept. Okay, this next one, I'm going to have you guys do this one on your whiteboards also. Again, watch out for your negatives if there are any. Oh, there aren't on this one though. And don't freak out if it's a fraction. Just reduce it or make it a decimal. Okay, so you should have gotten that x was at 4.50 and the y-intercept was at 0.6. Okay, so sometimes you're going to have a situation where it's not in standard form. You have to get the equation in standard form first. So for this example, I have 8x plus 2y equals 5x minus 4. I need to get the 5x from the right side over to the left side with the other one. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. This is for your notes, by the way, in case you were wondering. Okay, so I get 3x plus 2y is equal to negative 4. So I make my xy table. If y is 0, I get 3x equals negative 4. So if I divide by 3, I get that x is equal to negative 4 over 3. And then if x is 0, I get 2y equals negative 4. Divide by 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Okay, so it's just the same. You just have to get it into standard form. That's the next thing we're going to do is graph it. Okay. Okay, so you guys understand it needs to be in standard form before you make the XY table? Okay. Okay, so now we're going to use our x and y intercepts to actually graph the line. So I have 3x minus 7y equals 21. I make my table with the zeros. So if y is 0, the 7y goes away. 3x equals 21, so what's x going to be? 7. Then if I make the x into a 0, I have negative 7y is equal to 21. So y is equal to? Negative 3. So I just graph those points, and that's why I want you to write them as ordered pairs so that you don't graph the points 7, negative 3 and think that you're done. This is two separate points. So 7, 0 is on the x-axis at 7. 0, negative 3 is on the y-axis at negative 3. Once you have 2 points, you can draw the line.
What if it's a fraction?
If it's a fraction, then you estimate it as best you can. A half, you would put it directly between the two hash marks.
What if it's like 19?
That would be 4 1/2.
9?
9 halves is 4 1/2, so you convert it to a mixed number, and then you approximate where the half is. Okay, so on your whiteboards, I want you guys to do this one. Okay, so when we plug in 0 for y, what did you get for x? When we plug in 0 for y, what did you get for x? Positive 4, because a negative divided by a negative is positive. And then when we put in the 0 here, we got a negative 3. So 4, 0 is on the x-axis at 4, and then 0, negative 3 would be here. So if you forget the negative sign, then your line's going to be going the wrong direction. So that's why you want to be careful with your negatives. Okay, and that concludes the video.